high straight thing.
Survive 5.
Hall of Famer Tito Santana, hoping to give.
Hello, hey guys.
Hello there, my very good friends, ATB and Tan, Till 5.
Wedding my jeans, bro.
Wetting my jeans, bro.
Yeah, we're wetting our jeans. You know why, though?
Because Vince Russo has returned, and we're starting off the show with a notoriously legendary Vince Russo. We have to. Oh, you love it. Come on.
Is he going to wear the face paint?
I hope he does at some point. He did post his own on his Facebook today with some face paint, like an AI version of himself.
Well, it's no secret here at Till 5 Wrestling that we love Vince Russo, but I have to say
Vince Russo.
I personally am
ICD,
severely disappointed in his choices.
Well, so Vince Russo is a lot like us. He was a fan of pro wrestling. He wrote a letter. That's when you take a pen to paper, children, and you write stuff, you put it in the mail, and you send it to somebody. He sent a letter to Linda McMahon, ended up getting a job working with WWF Magazine.
He was Big Venom.
Became the editor as Vic Venom. He would end up in the WWF in ratings. WCW was pulling in like a 3.0, and WWF was a 1.8 on Raw.
Yep.
It was just one-sided as hell.
Raw was really coming out of dire straits.
They were. And they decided to give this guy who had helped turn the magazine around into something people wanted and had joined the creative team. They decided, hey, let's give him a shot at writing. And then we have Vince Russo calls it Crash TV, inspired by Jerry Springer. We get Vince Russo coming out there and writing some of the best stuff that WWF ever did. You have The Rock, you have DX, you have Mick Foley with Socko, everything that all of us loved about the Attitude. What about the Attitude Era? It's Vince Russo.
There it is. And I know that there was some shit in there, and I will admit that not everything that Vince Russo wrote was good.
Brawl for All, good idea in theory. Bad
in
idea
theory,
in
sure.
execution. Yeah.
Kennel from Hell, really terrible idea.
Terrible. Russo was replaced in October of '99. This was the man who created the Austin McMahon storyline. Let's not forget that. Russo would join WCW in October of '99. He would come in. He booked Jushin Thunder Liger in to lose the New Japan NJPW, the New Japan title, the Hoovy, just weird car crash TV. That was Russo's thing. Well, January 2000 rolls around, and Russo had been building towards this new version of the NWO. He gets 2 phone calls that Bret Hart has a concussion, he can't work, and Jeff Jarrett is hurt, he can't work. 2 major parts in the pay-per-view. So they decide to rewrite it, and Russo comes up with this, let's do like a Royal Rumble. Sid Vicious can come in and start it. Tank Abbott will come in at the end, knock him out, win the title, and then the next night on Nitro, Sid can have a match with him and win it. He said, let's do something believable. Well, this resulted in him getting asked to join a booking committee, and he turned it down. Kevin Sullivan pitched, let's give it to Benoit, knowing that Benoit didn't really want to be there anymore and had asked for his release.
Would have been a good idea if they would have given it to Benoit 6 months before.
Yeah. Instead, Benoit says thanks, wins the match under shenanigans, of course, with Arn Anderson, the man that runs in. Will be back with WCW Rewatch next week.
The king of run-ins. Yeah, the king of run-ins.
you have Benoit win the belt and then lose to get stripped of it the next night, which is what Russo was going to do with Tank Abbott, essentially, except there would have been logic.
Yeah, there would have been logic, and you were using a guy that you had under contract that wasn't leaving.
Yeah, and believability with a former UFC fighter.
There's
coming
legitimacy
in.
with Tank Abbott at the time.
Yeah. So Russo ends up returning in March and taking over as the lead writer alongside Eric Bischoff. They reboot WCW at this point with New Blood. Me and you have both talked several times about how much we love the New Blood story.
And I wish that the New Blood would have lasted longer. The New Blood should have carried WCW into a new era, in my opinion.
Yeah, they turned Goldberg heel, which was new. It was cool. It was different. It didn't last long because Goldberg
Honestly,
couldn't work as a heel.
I think that might have it appeared to be a good move at first.
Yeah, at
That kind of
first,
made sense. At first,
Goldberg needed a manager to be a heel.
I hated
Yeah.
Goldberg anyway, so when he was a heel, I said, "Great,
Yeah, you could boo him even harder then.
great." Yeah, but you're right. If it was going to be a long-term thing, he would have had to have had a manager.
We get the Bash at the Beach 2000 incident. Russo and Hogan. Russo has said time and time again it was a work. I believe him because it would be the dumbest shoot thing on the face of the earth to come out and bash somebody like that.
You're a big draw.
Yeah, who's under a guaranteed contract. But
Well, also, and if you really want to get into the nuts and bolts of it, Hulk Hogan was kind of known to be a liar, has always been a liar and stretched the truth. And Vince Russo has been really honest about even the shit that he's booked.
yeah,
So I'll believe Russo on this one.
Yeah, and apparently they claim that Russo went into business for himself with the shoot interview, with the shoot promo.
No, he did.
Even if he did, it would just build more heat to it. So what's it fucking
I don't think he did, though. I genuinely don't think he did.
Hogan would sue Russo for defamation over that, by the way.
Hogan definitely would have sued Russo if that wasn't a work.
Uh-huh. So Russo would end up winning the WCW title, of course, which we all agree was stupid. He also would book Miss Elizabeth in a match with Daphne. I love Daphne. We'll get more into her in the future. That would actually pretty much lead to Elizabeth leaving the company not long after.
And soon after the business.
Yeah, well, Elizabeth was not interested in wrestling. She was never going to be a wrestler.
She didn't want to be a wrestler.
He booked Stacy Keibler's pregnancy storyline with David Flair and Buff Bagwell and Sean Stasiak. Yeah, there was a lot of junk back then. But the thing was, these storylines were appealing to other audiences. The base audience of professional wrestling was going to tune in anyways.
Yep. Good or bad.
There has always been a base audience for pro wrestling.
And like you were saying, good, bad, or indifferent, the ratings were through the roof. And another thing I really loved about Russo, and he did it in WWF and WCW, from the top of the card to the bottom of the card, everybody had a gimmick, everybody had a story, everybody was doing something.
Honestly, I would like for him, not Booker, no, by no means, but I would like for him as a creative writer to help with AEW at this point. I think
everybody had a niche. There wasn't 20 guys sitting in catering when Russo was writing, because even if it was a story about Big Boss Man eating Al Snow's dog, he had a fucking story. He was on television.
Yeah, I think it'll be a blast. According to him, he's come into JCW as an investor. Investor, writer, either way, I think it's nothing but beneficial because they've been all over the fucking internet for it ever since.
So listen, I actually, and a lot of people are going to say, what? When I say this, I enjoy JCW's product, wrestling.
Yeah.
I hate the fucking juggalos. But my big problem is they've got guys like James Storm going out there and fighting zombies.
Well, dude, the zombies are fun. The Outbreak was their name.
That's a good name, I'll give you that.
Willie Mack was afraid of them. They've got Cocaine, Kerry Morton, Too Tough Tony,
Terry
Vampiro
Morton
has
Rock.
his new team with Madman Pondo and Mickey Knuckles because JCW left him behind. Dude, this is a blast. This is
Well,
going
it
to be
is
so much
lunacy.
fun.
It is lunacy, and it makes you wish. Times like this makes you wish that Tracy Smothers was still around,
Oh,
because you
God,
know Tracy would be awesome on lunacy as an authority figure or anything.
Absolutely. Tracy would be the muscle with Vito for Russo.
Yeah.
That's easy. Russo would get into the ring and kind of have muscle in TNA for a while and work with Sports Entertainment Extreme. He would manage AJ Styles. He actually would work with Bischoff and Hogan in 2008 and 2009.
Yep.
And Bischoff is on record as saying that it was a positive experience. So I don't understand how people are going to shit on this when even the people who we shit on or they shit on him for also say Russo was beneficial. Like, he's not a horrible piece to the puzzle.
You know, Russo made a lot of people a lot of money that wouldn't have normally made the money. A normal writer would never have booked fucking Gilbert to win the light heavyweight championship, but Russo did, and Dwayne Gill ate for a long time, still eating because of Gilbert.
And you know what? If you've got a problem with Vince Russo coming back to wrestling, obviously we're excited. Maybe you should go see our good friends at Green Hemp Company. They're rolling in the foothills of the Smokies. You can call them at 423-609-7138. You can go see them in person at 2560 East Andrew Johnson Highway, Suite 3 in Greenville, Tennessee, 37745. They're open from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Monday through Friday, from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. on Sundays. Go see them. Go see Hot Donna. Tell them that Till 5 sent you, and they will hook you up with some great quality THC products, not some wacky, flacky garbage that you're going to buy off the internet from some dork.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Tan, you did kind of have a breakup with Chris Jericho last week.
Chris Jericho and I broke up.
We're gonna find you something to replace the Tan on Japan's. I know that Jericho's kind of a piece of garbage, and he didn't give the respect to Don Callis that he should have. So I
That's
thought
right.
maybe we could give a little bit of respect to Don with some Callis family history and the Truth Commission.
I think it's pretty amazing that we might be the only wrestling show on YouTube and Facebook that's talking about the Truth Commission in 2025.
Truth Commission was
And
a
I think that's
blast.
great.
No, I won't say it was a blast. I thought it was kind of dumb. Let's be honest. It was dumb even back then.
No, it's dumb as shit, but it served a purpose, I guess.
I thought, well, there you go. Russo, it served a purpose.
It served a purpose. It did.
Yeah. The Jackal and Kurgan were great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that they really worked well together, and they would. The oddity
and Recon, who was Bull Buchanan, he turned out okay.
Yeah. Other than that, there really wasn't a lot that the Truth.
Well, they were originally managed by a guy known as the Commandment. Okay, but
Commandant.
But Vince wanted somebody that could take a bump to be managing him, so he fired this random guy named the Commandment, and he brought in the Jackal, who would be Don Callis. Which was better. Anytime you bring Don Callis on as your manager, even then, you have leveled up, even if it is a group like the Truth Commission.
Yeah, Callis has always been able to work a microphone. He's always been fun, and it worked. He cut those creepy, cultish promos backstage with his little soldiers. Was Recon, Sniper, what's the other loser's name? Tank?
Yeah, Tank. Yeah, sorry.
I don't know whatever happened to Tank. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Kurgan ended up being in a couple of movies. He was in 300. We both enjoyed that.
Yeah, 300 was good.
Yeah. Other than that, there's not really a lot to talk about with the Truth Commission.
Yeah, but you know what? It exists as a group. Actually, I think it was Don Callis' first stable. So it exists as far as that goes. So that's really cool.
Well, he stayed with them for almost 2 years.
Uh-huh.
It
And
lasted
then
a
the
lot longer than I thought it did. I guess that whole oddities carryover might benefit it some. I don't know.
Well, I don't recall it lasting that long either, and the only thing I can assume is that maybe that oddity storyline lasted a bit longer than we remember.
Well,
Because I
I'm
also think
pretty
they had a
sure that
feud with the Nation of Domination, didn't they? Briefly.
didn't everybody.
Yeah, that's true. It was faction warfare for a while. You had to have
Yeah.
jobber factions too.
Now, I can tell you one person that wasn't part of any faction.
Who's that?
The crossover tonight, Dan the
You're actually
Beast
wrong.
Severn.
He was part of a faction.
Don't hand me that. Camp Cornette doesn't count.
No. Well, it does, because it was a faction of NWA wrestlers taking over WWF that just kind of fell through after they realized that Bob Holly and Bart Gunn wasn't a good tag team.
Oh, what a shocker. What were they called? The New Midnight Express? Was that
Yeah, they
the-
were the new Midnight Express, yes.
Yeah. So Severn would win the NWA title in 1995. He's also UFC champion. Look, he really didn't do a lot in wrestling. He would continue to work
Actually,
for a while.
much like Shamrock, he started his wrestling career in 1989 and worked on the Indies and in Japan in that shoot promotion that Shamrock worked in.
Of course they did. Well, I feel like
Yep.
that shoot promotion kind of led to UFC.
That gave birth to UFC, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as relevant shit in professional wrestling, he didn't really do a lot.
He had a gray sweaty shirt.
Yeah, he
So that's
was NWA champion. That's pretty much.
He might have won the NWA championship more than once. I don't know. I don't even know if it counts at that point. Ask Billy
Look-
Corgan if that counts and get back to us.
I'll allow it. Look, Severn
I'm
didn't
not
do a
sure
lot of
the
wrestling. It was
NWA
just fun to put him in here as a crossover.
Yeah, because we like Dan Severn.
Well, Dan Severn's a technical masterpiece. He would always tell people, like, you're only going to win if I let you. Like,
And that's
legitimately,
that's the truth.
that was his thing backstage.
That's the truth.
Yeah. Now, he was a.
He's going to put you over, but you got to work for it.
Yeah. You're not even going to get the segue.
Oh, he wasn't technical spectacle. I thought you were going somewhere and I cut you off. My bad about that. Yeah, William Regal, a real technical spectacle.
Damn.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Anyways, new segment
F-off.
time. Technical spectacles. William Regal. He's been a manager in AEW. That's all he did there, and then he got a quick release to go back home to Triple H.
I would like to start with William Regal by saying I think it's really hilarious and I think it's really cool that he started wrestling in 1983 at 15 years old doing carnivals and working on the North Pier of Blackpool, England. Just out there wrestling, like pretty much shoot wrestling people when he was 15.
Yeah, he was a legit badass in Blackpool. That's hence Blackpool Combat Club.
He would eventually get noticed, and he and Robbie Brookside would move to America in the early 90s so they could start working together as a tag team.
I actually don't know a lot about his early career, so you're on this one, Tam.
Well, that's pretty much all there is because he was noticed pretty quickly and signed to WCW in 93. And actually, Brookside was also signed, but didn't last long.
Well, as far as his WCW career goes, I'll give Prince Ikea. I enjoyed his work there. I enjoyed his television title reign.
I like the Blue Bloods, but the most relevant thing you can say about Regal is that he's a 4-time television champion. And he completely exposed Bill Goldberg on national television.
That he did. That's your favorite wrestler, Bill Goldberg.
And that's what got him fired. Was exposing Bill Goldberg.
But and then he comes to the WWF.
He's a man.
Where he's a real man's man there.
In the hard hat there.
Yeah.
And he would do that for a while.
Pretty forgettable run. He was in the Survivor Series Deadly Games tournament. I do remember that. For some reason, that always stuck with me, just because I thought it was so dumb that he was coming out there. Because I had seen him in WCW as this royalty guy, and then he's here as like a construction worker. Okay.
And I might be wrong, but didn't for because of an issue that he had, didn't he leave the WWF for like a year before returning in late '99?
I think that was his neck, wasn't it?
Was it a neck issue that kept him out?
I think it was.
I thought he'd had a wellness policy issue that kept him out for a minute.
Not in '98.
Okay, that was later. All right.
Yeah,
10 years
later
later.
he had his wellness policy violation.
And we'll get to that because when he did come back, he was commissioner. And that was cool.
I wasn't a big fan of the commissioner and Chris Jericho
I just think it's
storyline.
fun.
The Duchess of Queensborough rules match, I didn't care about. It just wasn't my thing. I wasn't a big fan of Regal in that role. I actually come to find Regal become more of a fan of him as I got older and went back and rewatched his wrestling. I think it's a shame he never won the world title. I think
he was on the way. Potentially.
The King of the Ring tournament was set up for him to become world champion, and then he had his wellness policy violation.
Yeah. He was on a great run there late in his career in 2008, and he kind of messed that up, and he owns that.
Well, I guess you don't really have much of a choice but to own it at that point. He held every belt but the world title for the WWE.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, he was a multi-time champion, 4-time European champ, 5-time hardcore, 4-time tag team, and 2-time intercontinental.
Well, I think that if he hadn't had that wellness policy violation, obviously he would have had the world title.
At least once, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's a shame he didn't have it sooner, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that Regal and Benoit back in the day could have been some great world title matches.
Could have been great money in the early 2000s.
Yep. But instead, we had Triple H and Eugene.
No, but Regal would find even more success outside of the ring as an executive in WWE, where he pretty much forefathered NXT during the era that I really enjoyed NXT.
Well, yeah, he was the brains behind the original NXT with Triple H, the two of them together.
Regal stayed here for what was relevant on the indies and was a talent scout for WWE and really got all these great Ring of Honor and TNA workers to come in NXT.
Well, and he knew how good Bryan Danielson was. He was the man that pushed for that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right.
He was 100% right.
Yep. I think that Regal is actually a pretty good competitor with Piper as far as having never been world champion.
Yeah, and should have been.
Now, we do have a new GOAT tournament coming up. We'll make the Facebook post soon. The greatest manager of all time.
Yeah, and you might see some people in their bracket. You might see William Regal included in this bracket. You never know.
Yeah, and we also have another surprise that's coming Friday, but I hear that my co-host sold out to AI like a bitch, so we're waiting on that one to pop up. Yeah. Well, if you're looking to rebuild your home, like William Regal had to rebuild his career after a wellness policy violation.
He's a man. He was also a construction worker. That was the segue.
Well, you weren't segueing, so.
Anyway,
I'll go with a wellness segue over a real man's man.
You always do.
Well, hey, what other way can you segue? Look, if you happen to be somebody that's recently recovered your life and trying to rebuild and get it back together, and you need to get a good deal on some wholesale liquidation home improvement items, perhaps you should go see our good friends at Stover's Liquidation. They're closed on Sundays, but they're open from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. They're available 24 hours online at www.stoversliquidation.com. You can go see them in person at 481 Tulsa Road, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, 37830. Give them a call at 865-523-4449. Tell them that Till 5 sent you. And, Tan?
Well,
You have one other
ATB
pitch to you here.
have what now?
We've been pitching these new segments for you.
Mhm.
We had the Callis family history. We'll touch on that again at some point. Technical spectacles. How about a little bit of tanager time?
Yeah, so of course you already plugged the tournament that we're going to be doing, greatest manager of all time, and this will definitely be another guy that winds up on that bracket
Oh,
somewhere, I would imagine.
absolutely.
One thing I didn't know about James Mitchell until I started doing the notes for the show is that he actually started his career in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, managing just a variety of random folks you've never heard of.
Wasn't he one of Kane's managers back in the day?
In Smoky Mountain?
Yeah.
Not that I could find. It was a bunch of random people I'd never heard of. I don't think he managed Unabomb, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But in '97, he would join WCW as James Vandenberg and start managing Mortis.
Look, I loved it.
Yeah,
I lived it. I
he's
loved
awesome.
it. It was. It was Mortal Kombat come to life.
Yeah.
And Vandenberg made it work even better because he was a creepy little shit.
Yeah, Vandenberg was creepy. James Mitchell, whatever you want to call him, he is a creepy bastard, and that
He got
segues us.
Wrath and Mortis were very like. It helped get them over to have him working on the mic for him.
100%.
Yeah.
And
He helped to
you
get
know, in the year 2000, he would join ECW as the Sinister Minister, where I'm a really big fan of him from, that and his TNA run that we'll touch on here in a bit. But he would cut really creepy promos in like an empty classroom or a black room just with nothing but red lights about satanic bullshit, really. And he managed to Jerry and lunatic Mikey Whipwreck as the Unholy Alliance. And doing the talking for a guy that really wasn't that great at English at that time, and a guy like Mikey who really couldn't speak, it made them work, where they would become two-time ECW.
Well, that's kind of the point of a manager, and I feel like that's missed on a lot of people nowadays.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys that could benefit from a manager today.
Yeah, a lot of guys.
But it got them over easily.
If we bring back managers, professional wrestling would be a lot more entertaining. You wouldn't
Had
have to have as
ECW
many.
not died,
Do what?
had ECW not died 6 or 8 months after he came in, I think the Unholy Alliance definitely would have had a longer run with James Mitchell, and probably would have managed more folks.
I imagine it could have been easy to get like Jerry Lynn into that group.
But you could have got anybody into that group. Would have worked probably. That was the magic of that group. It might have been crazy and supernatural, but it was actually believable because he was basically a satanic minister.
Well, I'll never forget. Have you ever listened to his shoot interviews?
A little bit over the years.
One of them, he was talking about getting drunk backstage because when they recorded the promos, all of the managers went last because the boys got to leave that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mitchell was drinking beers with Sandman and a couple others, and he's doing this fireball thing. And as he's getting drunk, he keeps putting more flash paper in it to get a bigger fireball,
Oh, I've heard this one. I know this one.
He comes out and he does the fireball, and the thing explodes and blood just goes squirting. And I loved it. Like, to hear him tell that story is so much better than I'm sure the promo is.
I'm sure it is. But that's the thing with James Mitchell. He's just good. He's a great storyteller, and he knows how to get shit over. So he would join.
His time in TNA was so much fun.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He would join TNA in 2002, and he would start managing the revolving door known as the Disciples of the New Church.
Well, and Malice.
Malice was in Disciples of the New Church.
Yeah, I
said revolving door because people kept dying and leaving, so they had to just continuously bring like Crowbar, Mike Awesome, fucking Slash. I think was the only member that stuck around for a while. Brian Lee was in it for a second.
Yeah, Brian Lee and Slash. CM Punk was one of them.
Yeah, Julio De Niro and Punk were in it. I totally forgot about that. Yep. There you go. And James Mitchell had a Vampiro was in it for a minute.
Yeah, you're right. It was a revolving door. My apologies.
But I enjoyed it. It was fun. I like that kind of gimmick. That dark gimmick works for James Mitchell.
Well, he's the sinister minister.
Yep. But in 2005 is when shit would get real for him because that's when he started his best work, in my opinion, managing the Monster Abyss.
leading Abyss to the world title. The fact that Abyss won the NWA title because of a disqualification always made me pop.
That's staying it for me. It also makes me pop because what an accolade. There's nobody else in the business that can say that.
He won the NWA title by disqualification from Sting.
Yep. From Sting. Yep.
Yeah.
And he did. He led Abyss to that, and then they kind of ran an Undertaker-Kane feud with Abyss and James Mitchell's second client in TNA, Judas Macias.
Abyss's brother, huh?
Judas Macias liked to wrestle with glass and spit blood.
Yeah, and he had a big scar on his face. He broke his leg like his third match. Now, you know who else was paired with them? Relic.
Relic! And that was Killer spelled backwards.
That's right.
You're right, dude. And fucking, I guess Black Rain was also lumped into that whole match. And that got a little murky. And he would...
Mitchell does the revolving door thing really well.
That ended in early 2009, and he would go off for a while, and he would sporadically reemerge in TNA, managing Abyss after that, and managing...
He'd pop in. Didn't he do a wedding?
He did a wedding. I think he managed Congo Kong for a second before Jimmy Jacobs.
Yeah.
And now he works for the NWA.
Where
he was managing...
going to be working for.
He was managing Max the Impaler, but Max the Impaler doesn't work in the NWA anymore, so now he's managing a Gimp and somebody. A legitimate Gimp is one of the guys he manages. Sal Renaro, I think, is the other guy.
Is that Sal?
Sal's not the Gimp. Sal is a crazy lunatic that pulls his hair out, and then there's a Gimp.
There's 3 of them.
Are they all Gimps now?
I don't know, but there's 3 of them in the stable.
Well, hell, I don't know, but James Mitchell's there, so...
Well, yeah. Well, I watched an episode, or 2, I think, of NWA Power the other day when I thought Russo was coming in there. And I'm really glad he's not, because I like JCW a lot more.
Well, I got wondering. I was like, man, he's going to have to do a lot of turnaround for the NWA.
Yeah. I feel like the religious beliefs would have been an issue in NWA for Vince.
It's possible.
Pretty sure. Vince was a preacher at one point, I think.
Listen, bro, you got to read the Bible, bro.
Well, I know that he is a born-again Christian and is very open about that. I think it wouldn't have went real well with some of the things that NWA does nowadays.
What do you mean, Father James Mitchell carrying around a fucking Gimp on a leash? You don't think he would like that?
I just don't think that would have
he definitely Russo was riding Undertaker to sacrifice Stephanie McMahon on a cross.
Well, Russo was shit, I lost my train of thought there. But he would put the Gimp on a pole. We could do that.
You know what is funny? I would watch that.
We put the Gimp on a pole, and we have Father James Mitchell's other 2 guys. We do a war with JCW, and they wrestle the zombies.
And if the zombies win, then they take the Gimp to JCW.
That's right. There you go.
And I'll tell you what. And the interesting thing is, and I know this is going to sound stupid, and a lot of people's going to think I'm being a smartass, and I'm really not. If I had never watched wrestling in my life, and somebody told me, yeah, they're doing a Gimp on a pole match, I would say, okay, I have to see that. What the hell is that? What does that mean?
Well, there's a free one for you, William Patrick Corgan.
Yeah, I would watch that. That would get me to watch. That's why I like Russo. Sometimes I like car crash television. I want to watch shit and be like, oh, God, I don't want to know what's next.
Not every wrestling show needs to be 15, 20-minute bangers every week.
You can throw those in there, too, for the main event if you want, but give me some storyline development.
Yeah, give me some bullshit and give me some wrestling. That's all I'm asking.
Make me care about these people or make me hate these people. Either way.
And that's one thing that James Mitchell was always good at. That's one thing that Don Callis has always been good at. That's one thing as a writer and an on-screen character that Vince Russo's been good at, because they're all damn good managers. And that's why come December, everybody's going to get to see the greatest of all time, manage a tournament right here on Till 5. We'll have some friends with us.